So obviously we've touched on the session work. We've touched on working with Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
What about being an MD? What brought you to being the musical director for all these wonderful artists, all these amazing tours? Let's talk about last year, Songs in the Key of Life.
Yeah.
Talk about that lineup.
Well, okay, first of all, you have to understand, it's very important to understand that Songs in the Key of Life, the importance of that album to me produced no less than 4 full circle moments. You know the full circle moment? Most people only have 1 full circle moment in their entire lives. I have 4 full circle moments from that album alone. Just that. So here's how it started. First of all, I'm on Songs in the Key of Life. I'm on 4 songs, right? And then we go from that to performing the entire album live a few years back for his House Full of Toys event. And then we go from that to touring that same album live. And then we go from that to a TV tribute of that same album featuring various artists, you know, and then winning an Emmy for that show for that album. So it's unfathomable that all that has happened from that one album. Yeah.
Incredible. And let's talk about another wonderful tribute you've done recently, the Bill Withers tribute.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I have to say that was one of the, along with the Stevie tribute, one of the greatest moments of my entire career because it was a huge labor of love. I was one of the producers of it as well. I basically called all the artists and asked them to be a part, and they could not have been more gracious, starting with Ed Sheeran. And he was like, oh, yeah, no problem. I'm all over this. And Ed, who also did the Stevie tribute, but I had Ed Sheeran, I had Aloe Black, Lettucey, Mike McDonald, Anthony Hamilton, Keb Mo, Dr. freaking John. I got Dr. John to do this thing, and he killed it. You know, he did Use Me and For My Friend, and it was fantastic, you know. And I had Gregory Porter with Valerie Simpson and Jonathan Butler. It was really incredible at Carnegie Hall, and the only thing wrong with it was it wasn't televised. You know why? Because I couldn't get a network. Nobody. I went to your people, and they said, well, you know, yeah, I went to your people. They said, well, it sounds nice, but not quite us. So I said, all right, no problem. But yeah, it was just so beautiful, and you know, Bill was really, really touched, and you know, I had an all right band. I had Steve Jordan on drums. I had Willie Weeks on bass. You know, I had Felicia Collins and Sid McGuinness from the Letterman Band. You know, Taku Hirano on percussion. I had no, it's crazy. It was Dave DeLome on keys, who's here too. It was insane. So I'm very, very proud of that. Yeah.
Sounds like an amazing band.
Yeah.
You have an amazing band this evening as well.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit first about, I know there's a lot of obvious musicians here. What would you say, somebody who wants to be an MD, someone who's working their way up the ladder right now, wants to do kind of like what you do and run a band, specialty tours, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Any advice?
Yeah, it starts with very basic information. You cannot lead until you know how to follow. Because the followers are depending on you to have their back. If they don't feel that, they are not going to get the best out of it. And please do not lead by intimidation. Nobody likes a dick. And it's not necessary. What we do is we provide joy to the people that are listening to it. How then can you provide joy if you're tense, if you're stressed? It doesn't make sense. It's incongruous. You can't do it. So leading by intimidation does not work. Now, you are a product of your environment. You're a product of who you hang out with. I happen to have learned from people like Quincy Jones, who makes everyone feel like they're the only one in the room. And he allows you to do your best for him because just by virtue of the fact that you're in the same room with him, he assumes that you're supposed to be there. So you want to do your best just from that basis. He doesn't have to intimidate because he's that great. And the greats, by the way, are always graceful. It's not a mean bone. Yeah, yeah. The greats are always graceful, you know. Herbie, please, all of them, all of the greats are graceful. And it is unnecessary and unfortunate that some people feel that they have to scare the hell out of people in order to get the best of it. It does not work. It just doesn't. It's you're providing entertainment. This ain't brain surgery, This is entertainment. So entertain. You are the light. You're providing the light to enlighten the masses. So it's important that you are full of light, and that's what's going to get across. So follow in order to know how to lead, so that you understand what your followers are going through. Do your freaking homework. The music director is the one who gives the band their parts, and sometimes the artist. But you're the one that's supposed to know everybody's situation. You're not the one that the artist shows the parts to. You're the one that shows the band, and sometimes the artist when necessary. 90% of this is psychology, knowing how to deal with different personalities. Okay? Understanding people and respecting people for who they are, but knowing how to deal with them, because it's all psychology. Or certainly most of it, after your obvious talent, and also have a vision. Have a vision, but allow for spontaneous ideas to happen as well. Be flexible. You may have a situation, or the artist may have given you a certain layout in the beginning, and then you all get together and things change, and the artist will have a different idea. Be flexible. Understand how to communicate between not only your band and the artist, but your band, the artist, and the production. Be kind and courteous to everybody, because people remember. The crew are not people that you step on. The crew are people to help you. You treat them like shit, you will get treated like shit. So I'm just telling you, that's what it's about. It's about life, and it's about you as a human being, because you will never be more of a musician than you are a human being. Remember that.